And we're back for My Mayor, and joining me is candidate for mayor, Darden Rice. Hi, Darden. How's life on the campaign trail?
Hey, Joe. It's great to be back here. Things are going really well. We're really excited to announce that House Rep Ana Escamani and State Senator Annette Taddeo have endorsed my candidacy for mayor. Um, Also, my campaign team are huge volunteers. They love giving back to the community. So we collected food for the free clinic, and we just delivered 330 pounds of food to the free clinic. So that was great. And then we're just looking forward to a great month of June Pride events and getting ready for the summer.
Wonderful. So today we're getting to know your thoughts on our public education, and specifically, what things would you like to see added to the curriculum or augmented in the curriculum that aren't there now? So let's start with subject number one.
Well, I'm going to start with greater civics and government education. As you know, I'm very passionate about this issue. I was president of the League of Women Voters for several years before getting elected. I'm a longtime member. And I just think that understanding civics and government, like how it works, the importance of checks and balances, the importance of an independent judiciary, how a bill becomes law, all of that is just so important for supporting a vibrant democracy. And of course, getting younger people very interested in why their vote is so important and why voting and getting engaged is so important. It's really critical in a representative democracy like what our country has. And I think our country is very special in this form of government. But this is also why I'm so passionate about fighting these attacks on our freedoms to vote. I see this as really a foundation of what keeps our country together and keeps it strong. So that is one issue I would definitely want to focus on that should be taught and should be taught in a better way.
And in your orbit with working with and around the mayor, and also your role at city council, what are some of the most common misconceptions or misunderstandings about how government works that, when people approach you with energy about a topic, what are the things that are most commonly say, you just don't exactly understand how that works?
Yeah. Well, I love it when people approach me with ideas that have a lot of energy, because the opposite of that is apathy. And apathy is really, really tough because I can do my best to make people understand things. I can't make them care. I think what people maybe misunderstand a little bit is that there's a process, and that any government doesn't necessarily turn on a dime, and that can produce a little bit of skepticism about how useful government is and what we can do. But I think some people think that you can take money from one fund and just spend it on something over here, and they don't always understand what the different silos of government are. So, someone will see, and I think it's understandable that someone would think this, but they might see, $200 million in an economic stability fund and think that money can be peeled off to use for affordable housing. And we're actually very limited by law and what certain funds can do. So that's just a process of educating people. But usually when you sit down with people and go through it, they understand it pretty well.
Okay. Let's move on to item number two.
Well, I think another big one is financial literacy. We have a relationship with money and finances our entire lives, whether we like it or not. So the more grounded an understanding of finances a young person can have, the better off they're going to be, the more independent they will be, the less likely they will be to subject themselves to risk or bad financial decisions. So beyond just some of the simple household budgeting and saving and spending type of basics, I think understanding how, for example, a mortgage amortization schedule works, how cash flow is important, how understanding debt and how debt and credit works. And if you make the right decisions, you can build equity slowly but surely over a lifetime. So I think all of those things are real important. It's super important now to understand the importance of retirement planning because pensions are the exception, not the rule anymore. Like our parents and grandparents may have had retirement plans largely managed by a private company or the government, but nowadays we're in charge of making our own retirement plans. So again, that's where financial literacy is so important for just making good decisions for yourself and for your family.
And obviously the first step of that is just understanding where you are financially, understanding what you have coming in, what you have going out. And then, once you're there, then the challenge for some becomes living within their means. And, there's stats out there that such a large percentage of people are just one or two paychecks away from, being in a really bad spot. Debt does obviously exacerbates that problem. So, with that understanding and how that can actually be a public issue with so many folks in that situation, what do you think the role of mayor would be in influencing people's understanding of living within their means?
Well, I might push back a little bit on that question because I think some of the people who are trying to survive working two or three jobs, I wouldn't just jump to the conclusion, and maybe you didn't say this, I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that they don't know how to save or they don't understand deferred gratification. I think that as mayor, I will fight for bringing better paying jobs and having more opportunities for better paying jobs in our community. And that will be a huge thing that will help. As you know, we have an over reliance on growth related industries like real estate. And then we have a lot of tourism and service related jobs that don't pay as well. So we need to bring people better paying jobs to have better choices. And then, I think, yeah, part of financial literacy is understanding deferred gratification and seeing examples of what it means over several months or a year if you save a little bit and, defer spending something and save it instead and how that adds up over time. So I think there's a lot of interesting work that's been done on teaching deferred gratification, but that's a good lesson for everybody, including myself.
It makes a lot of sense. All right, let's move on to subject number 3.
Okay, subject number three is another issue close to my heart is comprehensive sex education. I was very proud to work with the League of Women Voters a couple of years ago on our Empowering Youth Collaborative to support a comprehensive, inclusive sex education in Pinellas County schools. And this work was funded and completed as a response to what were skyrocketing trends with younger people getting infected with STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and also a spike in teenage unwanted pregnancy. So I'm very proud to support comprehensive sex education that's non-judgmental, evidence-based, sticks to the facts, and uses clear language so that our students can have access to this information. And interestingly enough, a poll was done that showed that 75% of Pinellas County residents want to see this type of comprehensive sex education taught in our schools.
And what is your best assessment of why that topic isn't taught sufficiently now?
Well, it's a touchy subject. I mean, we do have an opt out for parents who would prefer their kids not go through that. There's always the option for whatever reasons, maybe religious reasons, whatever. If parents want to opt out, they can. So, unfortunately, a lot of things get politicized that, I wish weren't politicized, but we need to give young people adequate accurate information so that they can make the best choices with their lives. And, the abstinence plus teaching approach is just, it's not adequate. And the data is showing us that STDs and teenage pregnancy is going up. So it shows us that the abstinence plus approach isn't working. So, there's probably a lot of other reasons why there's a resistance to it, but we need to do a better job if we want to turn these trends around.
Wonderful. Thank you, candidate Darden Rice. We appreciate you joining us on My Mayor.
Thank you. It's always good to be here. Thank you, Joe.